Another one.
So this question is, do you debug issues that you find to get to the RCA? RCA stands for root cause analysis as a QA engineer, right? So do you debug issues that you find to get to the root cause analysis as a QA engineer? I'm trying to understand if QAs should do the debugging of the code to get to the root cause of bugs. This seems to be more of a mindset to me rather than right or wrong. If you do debug, please comment with the tools that you use for debugging issues outside of the native Chrome dev tools. Okay, I love this. I absolutely love this question because my whole entire life has been dedicated to debugging since I was a child. Since I was a child, I have been troubleshooting and figuring things out. So it was only natural for me to go into technical support, to go into web development, to go into QA and stuff like that. But we're going to start the clock. Now, I am an avid debugger, but at the same time, when trying to find the root cause of an issue, sometimes there's only so far you can go because as QA, you're not the one who is actually writing the code, but there are certain things that you can do. So when I debug, depending on what the issue is, I will look for where that's happening. So one thing that's going to be super important for you when you're doing debugging is looking at the logs, right? There's different ways you can see the log depending on like how your system is set up. So for instance, at like we have a software that all the logs are feeding through that you can use to debug in that way. However, at another company, I had actual access to the servers that the application was running on. So if there was an error that happened, I can just see the logs directly on it, which I tend to like a little bit more because it's a little bit easier to see. But that's neither here nor there. Like the fact is, if you can see where the error is happening in the code, that's going to give you a little bit more insight on why it might be happening. And then another thing that you can do as well is if like in the past, what I've done is launch the code locally from my computer, and that way I'd run the test on my computer as well, so that when I see an issue happening, I can pinpoint where it might be happening. But it depends on the size of the application that you're working on because sometimes it's just not possible. You got me? So that's one thing. But debugging, like you should always debug as much as you can, but you don't want to take it to a point of diminishing returns. Got it? So many, like there's tons of tools to debug, right? So for instance, like I said, there's the logs. Like a tool like that we used in the past that we've tried was Grafana during one of our cybersecurity weeks, where it would aggregate the logs and you can go from there. There's other tools like Sumo Logic that you could use, which is very similar to what Grafana would do. There's Splunk. So many different tools. And then along with debugging, so outside of the Chrome developer tools, I use like, let's be specific about the Chrome dev tools, right? Using the network tab is very important to see like what are the network responses that are happening. Using the console to see what type of like JavaScript errors that might be creeping in, which is very, very helpful for React. Now, there's also some Chrome plugins for React, specifically if you are working on a React site. That's going to be super helpful for you to be able to use and to see like why things are breaking, where exceptions are happening, and things like that. Another tool that was mentioned at our QA Connect meetup was Charles. I had totally forgot about Charles, but Charles is an absolutely amazing software that it's sort of like a proxy. So all the information that's flowing through your computer, every information, like everything that's flowing through your computer is getting logged by Charles, and you can actually look up what's going on and things like that. So it's also a very helpful tool, right? So, but the debugging itself, it's like you have to think of debugging more than the tools and trying to find out why things are happening, what could be causing it, where it can be caused, and then it's because like when I report defects and bugs and issues to developers, I try to be as specific and concise as possible so that I have done my due diligence, so I can know that like things are like what's working, what's not working, and I can report all of that, right? You're not always going to be able to find the exact details, but the more information you can provide, the more the developers and the engineers are going to appreciate the work that you did and the time that you spent, so that they can like focus on like, let's fix the issue and not trying to figure out exactly what the issue is. There's another, but at the same time, there's only so much that you can do. So it can take like, it's a team effort, right? One thing that when we have to do actual official root cause analysis for maybe a defect that got into production, we do it as a group. So I might start it off and then we meet as a group, me and the engineers, and we talk about it and say, okay, this is what happened. And then how can we prevent this from going in the future? But if it's just an issue that's happening like during development and you find it, do as much research as you can. And it's more about how you explain the issue, how you document the issue and relay it to the developer than you finding like pinpointing exactly in the code what's going on and things like that. So that's the balance that you want to try to find. Okay. So, but I think the idea, the mindset is 100% right. And you said that there's no right or wrong. I would say that you're right. There's no right or wrong, but the goal isn't about being right or wrong. It's about adding value. And I say, if you embrace the mindset of being thorough and having that debugging mindset, then you're going to bring more and more value to your team and you will be appreciated a lot more. Okay.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.